A word from our sponsors. Looking for a place to unwind, celebrate, or just pull up a seat with a good company and a fine cigar? Head to Riverman Cigar Company, located at 8984 Watson Road. They're not just a cigar shop. They're a premium lounge where craftsmanship meets chill. From Padron to AJ Fernandez, the humidor is stocked. The sonic humidifier with reverse osmosis keeps every stick tasting top tier. Whether you're new to cigars or a seasoned aficionado, they've got events, education, and a cozy spot to kick back. Call 314-843-3355 or check them out online, rivermancigar.com, where quality matters and the vibe's right.
Now, Tom, where does Dan from Riverman Cigar go when he's selling all those cigars at a high price?
Making all the money.
Yeah, making all the money. Where does he go after that?
He should head on out to Avail Professional Services. It's based in St. Louis, but it has reach across Missouri and Illinois. They are experts in tax planning, payroll, bookkeeping, HR support, and they don't stop until you're under control. Whether you're a solo hustler or a growing firm, Avail brings a high-touch service with real-world results. Visit availproserve.com for your free consultation. Avail Professional Services, when every financial detail matters. Go see Dr. Dussold, otherwise known as Marty Bird. Huge supporter of law enforcement. Go see him. Marty.
The Birdman.
Yep.
Welcome back to The Brighter Side of Blue, our worldwide podcast, coming to you from Columbo's Cafe and Tavern in Dogtown, St. Louis. Home of the famous Seabo's Thin Crust Pizza, daily lunch specials. Ricky Ray's out in the audience supporting golden fried chicken and homemade mashed potatoes. I'm Danny.
I'm Tommy.
I'm JJ.
Producer John.
Producer John in the house. We had a special show tonight, Tommy. Kind of got all our emotions going in a lot of different ways.
That was pretty cool. We had basically the board, or you would call them the All-Stars.
The Hall of Famers.
There are a couple Hall of Famers on there of the law enforcement torch run. And they explained that it's gone much more than a torch run. And we had Dave Podlowski, we had Rich Banahan,
Bugsy Moran,
we had Jeff Beaton,
and Brock.
And we had Brock. Who was
Stole the
an
show.
athlete. Brock stole the show.
He's a Special
Yes, he
Olympic
did.
athlete, and he did steal the show.
But I'll tell you what, though, is that
Well-spoken gentleman.
when you talk to those guys, and between the four of the law enforcement officers that are involved in this, they had what, like
170 years, you said. Yeah.
Crazy, 150 years.
Yeah, they're old as shit.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be glad to hear that.
Yeah.
But and they talk about just neat stories over their years that they've encountered by being part of something so special.
And the partnership between the Torch Run and the Missouri Special Olympics, it's grown. It's an incredible story.
It's all volunteer. They volunteer their time.
All volunteer.
It's
And
a
how
noble.
special-
It's a noble gesture on their part.
It is. And they were talking as much as they, as we see that they give to the Special Olympics, that when you hear their stories, they get back from these Special Olympic athletes.
They get more back from it than the athletes.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And Brock being here was special, and he stole the show.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
He was cool.
So Brock was telling me after the show that he participates in Special Olympics pickleball, and they have a competition where it's called unified competition. So I could be Brock's partner against a Special Olympics athlete and a non-athlete could team up and play in a tournament together. So I want to do that with Brock.
That would be cool. And you could really see how much they really enjoy what they're doing, and we're gonna try to get involved too. So
Yeah, and that group has raised the bulk of the $43 million that the state of Missouri has raised for the Special Olympics. And so
I'm not
$43
doing the
million.
polar plunge though.
I might
I
give it a
thought
whirl.
we said, John, are you down for our being our polar plunge guy?
Sure.
I'll do. I think I might do it with you. Colonel Lashak does it every year. I think.
Really?
Is it North Pole or South Pole?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll do the South Pole one. I agree with you on that. So anyway, you're going to enjoy this Missouri
Yes.
Torch Run and all the Missouri
Very special
Olympics.
Very
Yeah.
very special episode.
It's a very good story. Like, subscribe, and share this show. Podcast is growing, continually growing in the grassroots, supporting law enforcement because that's what we do. So hit those buttons. Tommy gives us an update on that every day, just about. So, JJ, what have you been up to? Downtown has gone mad.
Yes, I had a crazy weekend, and someone asked me how bad was it, and I said it was probably the second worst weekend other than Ferguson.
Are you serious?
It was crazy.
That says a lot for you. You've been to all of them.
Well, I'm not proud to say that. I probably shouldn't even get into this, but there were 5 shootings. There was Street Society taking over roads outside of downtown and down South City, and it was just chaotic. We went from the beginning of the night. We went from call to call. We put out fire after fire after fire, and we had to spike a bunch of cars that were doing their street show stuff, and it was
And shots being fired.
Yeah, it was crazy. Now I'll probably get in trouble for even bringing this up, but
Dude, it's already out there.
It's all in
They
the
did
news.
a press
It's on the
conference.
news.
Cuz.
That's true.
They did a press conference on it.
It was insane. And then we usually work 6 to 2 a.m. We were held over because it was just chaotic. I'd never, usually during the weekend when I work the detail, there's times where I can go sit in front of the Hilton downtown and just kind of chill out with my lights on and look at my phone. It was never a time there was no downtime whatsoever. It was insane. And so we're making adjustments, and I think this weekend they got a better plan than they did. It was like a perfect storm with 314 night day, and there was the Mardi Gras, St. Patrick's Day parade. It was the perfect storm for just chaos down there. And so
this weekend they're going to try a curfew, right?
they are doing an emergency curfew at 10 o'clock, and I don't think they'll have a problem this weekend, to be honest with you. But, if the juveniles, we ran them off last year. If they come back again this year or come back to next weekend, or I think there's a rude awakening for them.
Good.
This will come out after that happens. So, but yes, I think we got it kind of figured out for the
Well, we
juvenile.
need to figure it out because we're about 2.5 years into this podcast, and we have heard your stories before about all this. You were locking up juveniles. You were locking up their parents or giving them summonses. You were
Right.
towing the ATVs and the motorcycles.
Still doing, and that made a difference. And then the 4th of July last year was chaotic, but we hit it hard. And the juveniles, we made it miserable for them because they were shooting fireworks. So 4th of July and the weekend after, we never stopped. We just kept going at them and making their parents come and get them and blah, blah, blah. And it shut down. All summer after that was cool. And it was been nice every weekend. You don't see the juvenile. There's juveniles. There's nothing for them to do downtown. It's not their playground
No.
to do things. They can't go into bars. There's nothing for them to do. And they go down there and hang out. So we made it miserable for them. I hate to say the word miserable. We made it difficult for them to be down there with the curfews and everything. So now I hope, and they never came back after that. This was the first weekend, and I think it's because of the 314 day and it was St. Patrick's Day, might have been the perfect storm for them. So we kind of ran the juveniles out pretty good, pretty decently, and they left downtown area. But then the older crew that were down there with causing chaotic scenes with shootings and in the slideshow. They were doing slideshows all through out North City, South City. It was stupid.
So I will say something that you won't be able to participate in this conversation, and because I already know that there's aldermen that are saying,
Come on.
This curfew's wrong. Well, we're going to pick on the juveniles. We're gonna mistreat juveniles, and police. That's not what we do. And but immediately our elected officials take the side of the actual culprits, and I always called them when I was on the job. And I got away with it because it was true. They are criminals. They are shooting. They are bringing guns. They are destroying property. They are taking over streets, driving to highly dangerous levels. They are criminals. Mm-hmm. And that's how you say it. And so these aldermen, and if our downtown is not safe, we won't have a city. Right. No business will 100%. Come in. So I don't want to hear any aldermen talk about what's happening to these juveniles.
Right.
What's happening to these criminals?
And you touched on it, Danny, but they want to blame everybody else but the parents and the kid.
Right.
Exactly.
The parents are the ones, and the police spokesman, he was out there just doing as professional as he could be, but they wanted, they're like, hey, we're not your babysitters. I'll put it a little different way. Hey, know what your fucking kids are doing.
Yeah.
How
remember
about
the
that?
news?
Know what your fucking
10
kids
o'clock.
are doing.
Do you know where your kids
pay
are?
attention to what they're doing.
Pay attention to what your kids are.
I don't want to give any alderman or anybody credit for anything in the city, but the mayor did step up and did this emergency curfew that's coming up.
That's good. Actually, we'll see what happens.
I think you touched on it, JJ. So downtown St. Louis, For a 17 or a 16-year-old kid at 10 p.m., there's no businesses that are open for them. They're bars, and every other business. So there is literally the Arch is closed. The City Museum is closed. There's literally no reason for them to be down there.
100%.
So what are we doing to them? Hey,
Well,
get these older people to throw a set of balls
It's easy
and
to
start
be an
doing what's right.
alderman and represent different districts or whatever. But if they owned a business downtown, they'd have a totally different view of what juveniles running around,
Yeah,
and they just cause havoc. And so hopefully we clean this up, and before the summer's around the corner, I'm hoping to God that this weekend makes a difference and they get the message. And
Well,
it
you'll
becomes a
report
peaceful
back to us.
I'm an
I
optimist.
want to wrap it up with this. Is that I told this story I think once before. Is that there was a footbeat officer. She went to the academy with me, and she was a footbeat gal downtown, and I was working secondary
What's your name?
downtown. Harriet. I'm sorry, it was Roberta Hawthorne.
Oh yeah,
And
Roberta was tough, dude.
Roberta saw this person, and this is
play.
back in the day, so this is how it used to be handled. And Roberta sees this, dude walking around. He has no business downtown. Had no business at all. And I was working secondary at a bar, and she walks up to him. She goes, "Hey, come here." And he comes over, and she goes, "Let me see your money." He goes, "I ain't got no money." He goes, "She said, there ain't shit down here for free. Get the fuck out of here."
I love Roberta.
I
though.
love that. I love
She
that.
was
So,
awesome, dude.
JJ, be careful. Have your officers be careful.
They are.
And we'll report back on this next weekend, and hopefully it's a
Hopefully
lot
there's a
better.
shitload of arrests.
But do you remember those Channel 10 4 News at 10? It's 10 it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah, that was because our parents.
question. It's a
That's because
valid.
our parents had no clue where we were. They're like,
No
"Hey,
shit, no.
we were
dude.
running
Street
around.
lights were on.
Right.
We were home.
On a side
that's
note,
true.
there's
No,
more
that's not true.
to the problem than just those juveniles. And I'll say this is we got a plan for them.
Good.
There you go.
Good.
We'll leave it at that.
Sounded kind of ominous. That was good. I like it. Hey, producer John, are you sitting on a musings at a microphone before I get to my this day in history?
Yeah. I just want to remind everybody that Schicker's still having their truck month sale, 0% down. They still have the tire, buy 3, get 1 for $1. And there's a law enforcement discount. So Olivia wanted me to bring that up.
Beautiful.
But I ran across a story, and it kind of piqued my interest. But you ever heard of a condition called dissociative fugue?
Dissociative?
Dissociative fugue.
No.
Spell fugue real quick.
Fugue.
Oh,
Okay.
No.
Okay, it's kind of like amnesia, but it's caused by a traumatic event, and your brain, to protect yourself from this trauma, makes you forget about who you are and gives you, like, your brain comes up with a new identity for yourself. And most of these people will travel, they'll wander, they'll go somewhere else to get away from their familiar surroundings. And like Agatha Christie disappeared back in the 1926 for 11 days and didn't have any
Recollection where
yeah.
she was for 11 days?
Yeah, and some of these other people, they had to relearn who they were after they were found. They don't even recognize their own face in the mirror.
Wow.
But the one case that really got my attention was a gal named Jody Roberts. She lived in Tacoma, Washington. She was a news reporter, and apparently she experienced some kind of stressful situation, but she disappeared for 12 years, and they just assumed that she died or whatever. And she, they just kind of wrote it off as she was missing, presumed dead. Well, for some reason, somebody in the Tacoma Police Department decided to bring it back up. Said maybe we can get lucky and find something. Well, it turns out Jody moved up to Alaska, was living on some island up there, was remarried. She changed her name to Jane D instead of Jane Doe, I guess. But she had a husband. She had 2 sets of twin girls. She had a life. She started her own website. She had a business. And
Jeez.
but in Tacoma, when they restarted this investigation, they started putting her picture up on the news. And some lady that worked with her up in Alaska had moved to Washington and recognized her picture. So that she called the police, and then they went up and found her and brought her back. But she
She didn't break any laws. What do you mean bring her back? She was successful. Did she break any laws or?
No, but her family wanted her back. And-
Feud you.
So she had two families? Yeah.
Yeah. But the one.
So I think personally, I think she was full of BS, and wanted a new start and took off and did it. And you can call it feud or whatever you want to call it, feud you.
Fugitive. But no. So anyway, it was. It's pretty crazy. And
It is. It's crazy.
And
So
you can
the worst
buy-
thing I could have done is have him spell it.
Oh,
'Cause JJ's
I don't
over
know
here
what was
with
happening over there. I was just letting it go.
Feud you. Hey,
I
come
think-
on, dude. I mean, she was that successful starting. I think she just wanted a new start. And
Well,
that's
she got it.
She got
That's
it.
like a sour take on that, JJ.
Is there-
I was going to say.
I think he's
Wait a
got more to
minute.
say.
Sour
But you,
take.
but
okay.
you're
I hope
so
he does. I hope there's other cases that are more realistic.
I think JJ got what he wanted out of that.
JJ.
I'm done.
Fucking sour.
JJ.
I was feeling I was getting my.
We need a
pay slip today
curfew for
anyway,
JJ.
All right.
We need to be on a curve. So that was very interesting.
but It was very interesting.
Dissociative fugue.
Huge.
Yeah, there you go.
Feud you, dude.
That's very good. Very good. So so a couple weeks ago, Tommy, I talked about Charlie Chaplin getting his body stolen. Mm-hmm. And
Yep.
and then it intrigued me. So now I'm talking another one for this day in history.
Uh-oh. Somebody
William
got stole?
Shakespeare.
He got
In-
stole?
No, in 1794, William Shakespeare got his skull. His head was stolen from the grave, and
on.
he
Can't wait
was-
to hear about this.
Yeah, I did some homework on this. So I don't
Okay.
make it quick.
I knew you
so
would.
first of all, he was only buried 3 feet deep, not in a coffin. He was in a
Was his head sticking out of the ground?
just his nose. No. So he was only buried 3 feet deep, and he was not in a coffin. He was in a blanket or shroud, not a shroud,
Shallow
but
grave.
a blanket, and he was wrapped in there. So at a bar, Dr. Frank Chambers is approached by a politician. Now, Dr. Frank Chambers back in 1794 was known as a crazy man, wild man, up for anything.
I think he's about to prove it.
Yeah, so this politician says, I'll give you 300 guineas. I don't know what that's worth in today's money, but I'll give you 300 guineas if you can bring me William Shakespeare's head. So this moron, Dr. Chambers, brings 3 other grave robbers, and they go and they dig 3 feet deep, and they bring Shakespeare's head. And this politician was going, I was so freaking joking. I'm not giving you 300 guineas, and get the hell away from me with this William Shakespeare's head. Well, then rumors started going around the town that this Dr. Chambers was involved in this, and he says, okay, we have to end this crap. Get that head back in the grave. He hires the 3 dimwits. They go back and they try to dig in there, and they screw it all up. They bring his head to another cemetery and just bury it. So this was all supposed to be a rumor, but then in 2016, the world got sick of this rumor. They did some kind of radar and whatever, and they radared the
Ground?
the plot, and his head's missing. He doesn't have a fucking head. So it was all true. So the common person would say, why don't you just dig up the grave and see if his head's in there? Well, here's the reason why. William Shakespeare was a great author, writer, poet,
I
whatever.
heard of him.
Yeah. He wrote on his tombstone. He when he was going to die, he said, I want this on my tombstone, because grave robbing was so common back then, and I'll
That's
tell
so
you why.
weird.
Yeah, grave robbing, but I didn't know why, so I did some homework. But here's what he put a curse on his tombstone. This is on William Shakespeare's tomb.
Don't take my head.
Listen. Oh, I just touched you. Don't. Good friend, for Jesus' sake, forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be the man that moves my bones. So everybody's like, we're not digging him up. That's a curse.
Right.
You move my bones, whatever. That's that. So then I look up.
Didn't
and
say shit about a skull.
Yeah, I was just thinking the
that's
same
a
thing.
bone. Skull's a bone. So I see Ricky Ray out there because I know he's a very intelligent guy. I looked up, why was grave robbing such a big deal back then? Well, it was a big deal prior to 1842 because it was only a misdemeanor to steal a body. because a body was not considered a personal belonging. But if you dug in the grave and stole a gold ring or some property, that was a felony. But back then it was a misdemeanor. What did they need these bodies for? Back in the day, before 1842, medical students, they needed cadavers, and the only cadavers they could use were criminals that were executed. Well, the medical field was growing so quickly, there was not enough criminals being executed, so people were
That's a shame.
yeah, exactly. They were stealing bodies of the deceased and selling them for up to 10 euros. And for JJ always asks, how much is that worth? 10 euros back in the 1700s, JJ, would be the equivalent of
$1,000.
it. No, it'd be, I don't know the number. It'd be the equivalent of a whole year's salary for a laborer back then.
What year?
In the 1700s.
Oh.
So they would get.
I was right then.
So they would get 10 euros for stealing the body and bringing it and whatever. So it got to be so bad that this is where the graveyard shift term came for policemen, the graveyard shift, because they would build towers in the graveyard and hire people, security guards in the 1700s, to watch the graveyard so nobody would steal bodies. But my favorite thing is that they would also have a thing called grave torpedoes. What that was the loved ones, when they buried you, they'd put basically an explosive device, like a mine, in there.
Kind of like the Amazon packages on posters.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking about.
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking about.
100%. So if you dig this grave, it might have one of those grave torpedoes, and bam.
I love it.
And this and that. So in 1842, they fixed it all and said, you can't quit stealing bodies. And they also lowered it that you could use other bodies of people. Other bodies were available besides just the criminals were executed. But can you believe that?
No, it's amazing.
As soon as you said 1842, I think of Columbus. Isn't that the year Columbus did something?
1492.
1492.
All right.
America was just. It was 150 years ago.
I knew it was
Columbus
42. It
discovered
was something
America.
42. Something 42 kind of stuck to me.
You heard it? 1842, isn't it?
You could have said 1942. I
Columbus
would've still-
sailed the ocean blue and
No.
found Miami.
Right.
Danny,
Hey,
What happened in
throwing it out
1776?
there.
I got to say something about Danny.
I'm just throwing
He
it out
has
there.
never did this much research or anything as a policeman. He's
no.
working harder as a podcast once a week than he did.
I couldn't
He's
solve a
tired.
Snickers shoplifting.
I mean, but you're always a boss, so you can do shit.
I always encouraged good police work.
You did.
I
You did.
encourred good
You
police
supported
work.
good
You
police work.
supported
Exactly.
it.
That's all
You
that
had your,
matters.
you got your pom poms out every morning.
Yeah, just exactly right.
You can't apologize
Let's go,
for
team.
you
Go
can't,
be policemen.
you
Go
can't
be
apologize
policemen.
for getting up the ranks, dude. When you earned it.
Yeah, thank you. So anyway, that was crazy, wasn't it?
That's nuts.
Grave torpedoes. Grave
I love that.
torpedoes.
I love
yeah.
that.
So anyway, that's my this day in history. Let's do if you're sitting on a Zen.
I am.
That's now this time.
So we're running.
So tense.
Kind of puts pressure on JJ.
Nah, it's all right.
He's used to it.
This is a good one.
You let us be the judge of that.
The badge you wear represents those who came before you and those who will follow.
Very good. Say it again.
The badge you wear represents those who came before you and those who will follow. And Danny's staring at how big that is, but that was a mistake. But yes,
No.
I got that printed up pretty big.
And who's that from?
No one, me. I made it up.
You made
Jake.
it.
Oh, I'm calling
Thought
bullshit
about
on that
last
one.
night.
Original.
Thought about that last night.
He's like the Shakespeare of our show.
I found that on my own, brother. That's all I got to say.
I like it. I really do like it.
I saw a video yesterday of a little kid that had got into his grandfather's urn.
Oh,
Oh,
It was all over his face.
oh.
I felt bad for everybody involved.
how old's the kid?
Oh, he was
30.
3 or 4. And just found that urn.
Oh, boy.
That urn, it was all over
pretty
the
funny,
place.
too.
Up in
It was
his mouth.
John. It was producer John.
Right.
It was fun.
And then the other one I saw that I thought was humorous is that Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
He won. They had an election.
He won?
He won.
Oh,
He
wow.
won with
That's-
99.73%
Percent
of the vote. And in related news, 0.7 of the population disappeared.
I knew that was coming.
Hey,
Dude.
so sad, but so true.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it? Unbelievable. Well, that we have a great show coming up, and then what do we have coming up on DTF?
Yeah, we got the ETF coming up Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So we're putting out a lot of
We're
stuff
rolling.
here. Yeah, so enjoy. I really enjoyed this interview, and we really want to get more involved in the Missouri Special Olympics program that these guys are running
Torch run, yeah.
with the law enforcement torch run, and they do the polar plunge, and they, like I said, you guys can get together and do the run, pass off the torch to each other.
Yeah.
And I'll get my pom poms out.
I love it.
I'll get my JJ can get out there with his badass knees.
Right.
And limp around.
Yeah, I got
Did you
cortisone.
just get a cortisone shot?
There, I feel like I could still dunk a basketball right now.
You can't.
Probably not.
I'm just throwing it out there. Just don't try.
That's amazing.
Just don't
Enjoy
try.
the show, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
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 Did you dunk a? Are you feeling? Time for a quick word from our sponsors. Remember, listeners, you can go buy a Ford from many places, but when you buy it from Schicker Ford of St. Louis, you get a car and a family. The service after the sale is second to none. They've been huge supporters of law enforcement for over 60 years. You get the same treatment if you visit Schicker Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge in Washington, Missouri. So,
When you don't want to bicker about the price on the sticker, head on down to Schicker, where you get the best deal quicker.
Now, where the heck do you bring that car when you first get it?
What I would do is you got to unwind afterwards, and whenever you want to unwind after a shift, buying a car, or just a good night out, you head to Columbo's Cafe and Tavern in Dogtown, St. Louis, where craft brews are on tap. Solid pub grub, a vibe that says real people, real stories near the heart of St. Louis. Bring your squad or just bring your appetite. Located on Manchester in historic Dogtown, Columbo's is where community roots meet good times. Visit columbosstl.com or drop in tonight. Tell them the brighter side of blue sent you. Columbo's, for people who work hard and play harder. All right, welcome back to the brighter side of blue, a special segment for us. We've got members, long-standing members, and a competitor for the upcoming law enforcement torch run. It's in May this year. And to the far left is Dave Pudlowski. He's a retired major from the St. Louis County. And then our friend, Rich Banahan. He's been on the show a couple times before.
Retired from
sergeant.
everything. Keep retired.
Lots of retirement.
Retired sergeant from the city back in the day. And then we have Jim Moran, and he is a retired major from the St. Louis City Police Department.
Not exactly.
Captain.
Not
Captain.
Exactly. Thanks for the promotion.
I'll
but
promote you. That's all right. And then we have Brock Gussman, and Brock is a competitor in the Special Olympics, and we'll hear from him in a little bit. And then we have Jeff Beaton.
Yes.
And Jeff is then this is why you don't leave me up to this kind of stuff. No, not for a dime bag. Right. Jeff Beaton, and Jeff is the police chief of Glendale.
Yes.
And let's start with you. So Dave, how long have you been with the organization?
I was involved. I've been involved for 29 years in a variety of capacities over that time. Started though with the torch run.
Rich?
Started in '84 with the St. Louis Police Department. We just got involved in the run, and then kind of matriculated into the leadership role with Dave. And to this day, I'm still involved.
That's awesome. Bugsy? I'm sorry. Jim Moran's nickname is Bugsy, so for this show, he's going to be referred to as Bugsy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I made you major first, though.
I know you've done good so far.
All right. How long have you been involved, Bugs? How long?
Well, I will say that the only time I'm grateful that I ever said yes to Rich Banahan was in 1999 when he asked me to get involved in the torch run.
All right.
Other than that, I wish I'd have never said yes to the man.
We all understand.
Right.
We all understand.
Right.
So I'm going to skip Brock for a minute. I'm going to go to Jeff. And Jeff, how long have you been involved?
So I started with the law enforcement torch run my very first year in law enforcement, so 1993.
All right.
I had a sergeant that voluntold me that we were going to run down Highway 70, and I was all in from that point forward.
You were did you do it because you wanted to, or did you do it because the sergeant asked you?
No, I was voluntold, so I mean,
Exactly.
I did it because he said we were going to do it, and he did it with me. But
And you fell in love with it?
I fell in love with it. It's a great cause.
And Brock, you're a competitor in the Missouri Special Olympics. What?
Yes, I do basketball, pickleball, and I do bocce. And I got to go to Greece in 2011 for the World Games.
Wow, that is great, Brock.
He's got more medals than anybody else in this room. Trust me.
Yes.
I have over 200.
All right.
200 medals.
Yes.
What's Brock's rating in pickleball?
Do you have a rating, Brock?
I don't have a rating in pickleball.
Yeah, Danny's trying to.
Top notch. Beat that, Dan Howard. I didn't think you could.
So I'm going to kick it to you guys. Who wants to give us you guys got a special history that goes on. Who wants to give us that history? You guys decide who wants
Well,
to do that.
I think for the St. Louis Police Department side of it, it really started for us in like 86, 85, 86, something like that. Chief Sheets asked Mike Letts, who at the time was in charge of intelligence, to get involved and start helping out with the Special Olympics and the run and all this. So what happened was, we found out that over the first few years of the torch run, they had raised, very not the kind of money that we needed to raise. So myself, Charlie Lauman, Bob Gavin, and Mike Letts drove up to Jeff City. And we had to meet with the Special Olympics. We had never met them up there. So we go there, and Susan Stegman, who was the torch run director forever, we meet her, and she takes us through this office, and Bob Gavin, if you know him, was acting like Bob Gavin. And so she thought, what am I doing with these nitwits? But we went on, we got it all set up. She told us, you can have any kind of fundraiser you want. Do it anytime you want, whenever you want to do it. Because at the time, they'd only do it in May. And so she said, the only thing I tell you is there can be no connection between Special Olympics and alcohol.
Uh-oh.
So we just said, okay, and we went on. And then what happened is, to be honest with you, we started into the fundraising side of Special Olympics because we realized that. And so we had our trivia nights. And the first trivia night it's kind of our funny story about Special Olympics. The beer was donated. Jimmy Welsh from the brewery got it for us. We got hot dogs. Kenny Harnack made the hot dogs. Caruso got the popcorn. We got the hall for nothing. Everything was given to us, including Gus's. I went down there with Letts, and those people who were shoplifting out in California had nothing on Letts and the stuff we took from them. We took boxes of stuff. And then we had
Took is kind of a harsh word. Weren't they
Okay.
donated?
They were
acquired?
kind of.
Right.
And so we had our first one. I think we had like 45 or 50 tables, and they were like $40 a piece. And Let's ran it, and his big thing was, this is a fun raiser. We are not going to argue about questions, because to be honest with you, I made up the questions, and Let's would always say, and I made up the answers. And they didn't always match. And so we were okay with all that.
Trust me.
Trust me, they didn't match.
And that was back in, they had no Google, so there was no fact check.
Nobody had,
You're
no.
just going to have to go with it.
You just said, whatever, it doesn't even sound right.
So, Bugs, why don't you tell us a little bit about the torch run, where it starts, how you guys organize it, how people can get involved, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, so it's in multiple locations throughout the state for Missouri. Every state in the United States, every Canadian province, and 25, 30 countries now are involved. It's really grown tremendously since its inception. It actually started in 1981 in Wichita, Kansas, when the police chief there wanted his officers to get involved with the community other than arresting them all the time. And so some of his guys came up with this idea to run from City Hall to the Summer Games and Special Olympics to get involved in that, and they used a torch. And there was so much excitement between the athletes and the law enforcement officers that he took that message to the International Association of Chiefs of Police and said, everybody should get involved, and that's how everybody got involved.
That's great.
Yeah, and so that came to the Missouri. Colonel Ralph Bealey was on the Missouri Highway Patrol. He was kind of we call him the grandfather of the torch run. He was the one who started things, pushed things, made sure everybody stayed involved, and has stayed. I just talked to him today, so he's long retired, but he's still engaged.
And Jeff, you've been involved for 33 years. You guys, I mean, just when you guys walked in, I've seen your face around
Right.
for forever. I've seen all your guys' faces around, but you guys really, this is something that touches you guys' heart because I could tell when you guys were talking about it upstairs, you guys were sharing stories, and this
Right.
is something very dear to you. Talk a little bit about that.
No, absolutely. It's absolutely a passion of all of ours. We always say that we try to get new officers involved, and it's everything from doing the torch run to having fundraisers and doing benefits to raise money for Special Olympics, but also how law enforcement gets involved, and it's the community engagement part, is that uniformed officers will go to some of the games, whether it's the state indoor games, state outdoor games, some of the regional games, and they are the ones that actually give the medals to our athletes. And it's almost that the athletes expect it to be a police uniform putting that medal on their neck. And I think all of us probably have that one story of when you put the first medal on an athlete's neck and they give you a fist bump or a hug, and just seeing the importance of that to them and the passion they have, it just melts your heart, and then you're hooked. And that's what it was. I mean, I was hooked from the very first time that I ran down the highway and the very first time I went to one of the events to hand out medals.
And Brock, could you talk a little bit about when it is that medal time, just what Jeff was talking about there?
So when it is medal time, I enjoy it. I appreciate everything that the police officers do for Special Olympics. I've been doing Special Olympics pretty well almost my whole life, and I enjoy it. Special Olympics is like a family to me. And like Jim, he's my buddy. We've been buddies for years. And I see any cops, people don't like them. I'm like, why? They take care of our country. I appreciate what they do. And all of our other athletes, they appreciate what the police officers do. It's pretty cool.
That's well said, Brock. Thank you. And now to you, Bill. So Bill, you were telling a story, and I want you to tell that story, how you and Rich would often travel, and then you finally got a chance to travel with somebody else in the Special Olympics. Because everybody that listens to this show that knows Manahan will understand this story.
I'll start with how I got involved. I was
You were telling a story, and I want you to tell that story, how you and Rich would often travel, and then you finally got a chance to travel with somebody else in the Special Olympics. Because everybody that listens to this show that knows Manahan will understand this story.
I'll start with how I got involved. I was a lieutenant in charge of our tactical operations unit, which is the SWAT team and helicopters for St. Louis County PD. And I opened my mail one day and I got a note for a meeting notice up at Hazelwood PD. And there was a little more important than the note was a little attachment to it from Chief Ron Battelle saying, "Don't screw this up like last year." So this was my first year there. So my first job was to find out what happened the year before. Anyway, went to the meeting, got quite involved in planning that, and stayed with the organization for 29 years after that date. But Rich and I we shared the co-chair of the torch run committee after the first year, whenever we realized that there was a lot of room for improvement in the state. And so we wanted to be a little more strategic to how we organized this thing and executed the mission to raise money for Special Olympic athletes. So Rich and I would go to meetings in Jeff City. It seemed and all over since we were reorganizing the state, we were down in Joplin, Missouri, Kansas City, Boonville, Kirksville, everywhere in the 9 different spots in the state, and put a lot of miles on, a lot of trips to Jeff City for meetings. And time came when Rich was not as involved in that capacity, and Jim Moran was involved. And Jim and I are riding to Jeff City one day, and we're about an hour into the ride, and I realize I've talked the entire time since I picked him up.
I know what's coming.
And I kind of paused. I almost pulled over the car and said, Jim, I got to apologize. I said, I realize I've been talking for an hour and you haven't said a word. And I said, I think it's because I put thousands of miles on the car with Rich. It's the first time I really got to say something. So
That's hurtful.
Jim understood what I was talking
I
about.
remember that like it was yesterday.
Time for a word from our sponsors, JJ. If you need some serious security, who do you go to?
Personally, I would go when you're looking for real protection, not just a badge on a wall. Make the call to the Campbell Security Group, based right there in St. Louis. They're veteran-owned and powered by former law enforcement and military professionals, from executive protection to private air security. They got your back. Get a peace of mind when it matters most. Visit CampbellSecurityGroup.com or call 314-499-1121. Campbell Security Group, because safeguarding your world requires more than watchful eyes. It demands proven action.
Jeff, you were talking about that moment that do you have a story that you want to tell about a special athlete that meant something to you when you put the medal on him?
Well, I'll back up a little bit. So when I grew up in South St. Louis, just south of Tower Grove Park, we had our group of buddies that we hung out with, through elementary, middle school. And I had a neighbor down the street. His name was Doug Montgomery. And he just wanted to be involved. He was severe Down syndrome. He was nonverbal, but everything we did, Doug was right there with us. So for me, that connection went back to running around with Doug and his brother and the rest of the guys on the street when we were playing step ball and football in the street and, foosball, all the stuff that we did, we always included Doug in that. So when I actually went to one of the games and seen, all these athletes of different levels of, intellectual disabilities, some are, much less than others, but it just brought me back to running around with my buddy. So that's why, to me, it meant so much, because it brought me back to my childhood and remembering that, for me, the neighbor Doug was just one of the guys. And that's all the athletes want. They want to be included and they want to be treated normal and have those relationships that not all of them do have. Mm-hmm. So it's much more than just sporting events to them. It's friendships, because I know all of us on this panel, and Brock alluded to that already, is that you get personal bonds and friendships with these athletes. And I get texts all the time just out of the blue from some of the athletes on something as simple as they got a new pair of glasses and wanted to show them to me. So I can't pinpoint the exact moment. It's just that it brought me back. Yeah, it brought me back to one of the kids in the neighborhood I ran with. And then it just all the relationships I built throughout the years with it. It's amazing.
Bugs, how can people get involved in this? How can officers get involved? How can volunteers? How can people donate money? What can people do?
That's a great question. And so we have a local guy that's our region coordinator around here. And he works at Webster Groves PD, Jason Flannery. So if anybody's listening and they just call the Webster Groves PD and ask for Jason Flannery, he's the region coordinator here. Or locally, they could call the local office, which is 314-961-7755. And anybody there will direct them to the right spot. Most departments have someone that's engaged if they'd reach out. But if they're citizens, you can call your local police department, or you can call the number I just provided to get involved. Another way is you can go on the website. So somo.org, SOMO.org. And on there is a link to the LETR. But any of our events that we're hosting, our fundraisers, are going to be on that webpage as well. And you can get engaged for that.
And the torch run is your marquee event?
It's our marquee event in connection with the athletes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's primarily to raise awareness.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a fundraiser, because we have a gamut of fundraisers that we have. We just wrapped up the polar plunge season. And St. Louis, so we're in Region 8 here in the St. Louis metro area, and we're the biggest region for the law enforcement torch run throughout the entire state. And we hold 2 polar plunges, one at Lake St. Louis and one at Creve Coeur Lake in Maryland Heights.
We all know the polar plunge.
Yeah, so and both of those raised 120,000 apiece for Special Olympics.
And is that the Special Olympics, or does the law enforcement do that too?
That's the law enforcement torch
Yeah.
run.
Yeah,
Okay.
we-
That's our event.
The torch run, then jump in the water. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to throw the gauntlet. I think we should have next year a brighter side of blue team for the plunge. Yeah.
Well, you
All
guys,
right.
He says book it now, but he was over there saying before.
I'm going to wear a thong, suit. I'm taking my ass out.
I'll give you the first $100 donation.
I'm in.
For that song.
Rich, you've been involved in this give us a good story over the years that,
Well-
that we can find, that we can all find entertaining.
we can't go on any further without explaining the importance of Dave to the organization. Dave is an organizational guy. I, on the other hand, maybe not as much. But Dave,
Maybe.
we got this thing reorganized, and we used to run to Rolla. Now we didn't decide to Rolla because we thought it was a dumb idea, Dave and I. Or at least I said when I was talking to Dave, I thought he said yes. But we decided to run to Jeff City. And what happened is the first year we run to Jeff City, Gary Kemker, who's the director of public safety at the time, he gets it set up for the governor to meet us on the steps of the Missouri House,
State capital.
the state capitol. We're at the state capitol, and the governor's going to meet us. So what happens is we had planned for an athlete to carry the torch all the way up to the governor. Gary Kemker's involved. Fine, here's what's going to happen. An athlete's going to carry the torch all the way up there. I said, okay. So we're coming up the hill. As we're coming up the hill, the athlete gets tired. The torch is heavy, and it's a steep hill. So as we make the turn, Randy Bain, who's the chief of the Columbia Police Department, but who is wearing a Kansas City Chiefs hat, baseball hat, he takes it from the athlete to help out, being a great guy. So he runs up, the officers, we spread out. I am standing directly behind, and now Gary has told the governor, an athlete's carrying this. I'm standing behind Governor Carnahan, and Gary and Randy Bain comes up, and he's holding it. And the governor looks at him and goes, "How are you doing?" And the minute he says this, I thought, oh, for God's sakes. Oh, my God. And he goes, Randy Bain, nicest guy in the world, goes, "I'm doing real good. How are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm doing fine." He goes, "What do you do for a living?" Randy Bain, being very great guy, "I work for the Columbia Police Department." The governor looks at him, he goes, "I'll bet your mom and dad are really proud of you." There has to be 75 shoulders behind us, all laughing. And I have told that story 1,000 times, and Randy Bain has told me every time I get to a new city with Special Olympics, and they say, "You're Randy Bain?" He says, "Are you the guy with the governor?" And he'll go, "That Banahan." But I tell you what it was is we had people from you never meet in the police department that you met on the torch run. And you could, as a police officer, you'd reach out to some place in the middle of nowhere, pick up the phone and call a guy who's on the torch run committee or the torch run itself. All of a sudden, you have all these connections, and you have that police department connection. And there's something else that you're not calling out there cold. You're calling out there to meet somebody. And the thing, the most important thing is, Dave and I, we transformed the organization from just a run in May to a year-round fundraising.
Absolutely.
And we've gone from, when Dave and I took it over, it was $43,000 they raised. We took it over through 99, we raised $1 million.
Yep.
And that $1 million is the benchmark that Special Olympics all over the country, all over the world. And we did this by just grinding it out, selling at the time 40,000 shirts, doing fundraisers, doing all these different things. And it really personalized the officers, because meeting Brock, I would have never met Brock in a million years. And I always say about the athletes, they love us and want nothing in return. Mm-hmm. And as a police officer, that's not always the case. You know,
That's cool.
Yeah.
And that is really what my takeaway from all that is.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, the thing that we got Chief Patel, Chief Harmon then became involved. They kept us on. They never stopped supporting. Police chiefs all over, Missouri police chiefs never stopped doing it. They kept, and they were the key, because as much as a patrolman or a supervisor wants to do it, if the boss won't let you do it, it's not going to happen.
Right.
It's like the polar bear plunge. You do them all. I've done them all over the country, and they're but you have to have somebody there to push it. And the Missouri Police Chiefs has been an outstanding agency, and with Special Olympics, Mark Musso, who was our director for years, he made sure that the torch run and Special Olympics were one. Because in many states, they fought and battled over things. We never battled one thing. We raised money. We gave that to Special Olympics, and they handled it perfectly. They didn't spend it, poorly. They did everything, and we never really got involved in their business. Though they got, we had Susan, and Susan was one of the two people in the last, since 1960 or 83, we've had two people involved in the torch run as people there. So I mean, it's been a marvel, and other states have emulated what Dave set up as far as what things are, and it's become just that perfect, and it's still literally today, from 1991 when we took over, it still is almost exactly the same way, and it's because it was set up to be successful.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for anybody's personal glorification. Though I will say this, that a lot of the guys involved, Jimmy, Dave, their careers also took off from this, because all of a sudden they're meeting with a whole bunch of chiefs and all this, and their ability went way up.
And that's,
Yeah, I'd just like to say too, that just to give it in that vein, Missouri, since its inception, Missouri law enforcement has raised $43 million for the athletes of Special Olympics. And internationally, this year, we had a conference, and we found out we broke the $1 billion fundraising number for Special Olympics internationally. So it's amazing what law enforcement's doing in a positive light for people like Brock and his fellow athletes.
I want to give Dave a chance. And Dave, just talk about what it means to you. Obviously, you've been very involved. Rich told you, you kind of took this thing over and got it where it's at today. Talk a little bit about what it means to you.
Probably the best way to sum it up, you have to excuse me just a little bit. I carry this press clipping in my wallet. It's probably the third iteration over the years, but let me just read you the story, and this kind of provides me. Jeff talked a little bit about why we get involved, why we stay involved, and this has always been kind of a story that has inspired me to stay involved and kind of helped me through my own challenges in life. It says, in a Special Olympics track meet, and this is from 1996. In a Special Olympics track meet, a young girl had just won the 50-yard dash and was jumping up and down all excited. I'll just preface here that to participate in Special Olympics, you have to be at least 8 years old. She yelled out to her parents, "Look, Mom and Dad, I just won." Her parents instantly burst into tears. At the award ceremony, the young girl proudly stood there as the medal was placed around her neck. Then she went over to her parents, who were crying now even more than before. The three of them hugged, and the parents kept crying. Special Olympics official who has watched this whole scene became concerned and said to the parents, "Excuse me, is there anything wrong?" Through her tears, the mother said, "No, nothing's right, or nothing's wrong. Everything's right. We just heard our daughter speak for the first time."
Wow.
So
True story.
just provides some insight in all of us as to why this is kind of where your money goes when you donate, to create these opportunities or life-changing opportunities for not only the athlete but their families. So again, if you see the polar bear plunge, officers by selling torch run T-shirts.
Right.
Just want to write a check, get a hold of law enforcement coordinator and make it happen, and you make things like this happen.
And I
We're
can,
going to get more involved.
And
Yeah.
just-
You guys got
just
me
for-
all fired.
just for a little thing.
I want to tell
Hey,
you. I want to
just
tell you
for-
a quick
hold on.
story too.
But just so everybody knows, no athlete is charged a penny to do this.
Yeah.
No one, everybody who comes, they get whatever uniforms they need. They get training. Everything is free, and it's free in part because what the law enforcement does in the state of Missouri to allow these athletes to participate, and there's no barrier such as you can't afford to play. Everybody gets to play.
Right.
and it's
Just
and
that
it's
personal story that I
go ahead, John.
I have. I was gifted the opportunity to do we call it the final leg run for the World Games, which was held outside the United States for the first time ever in 2003 in Dublin, Ireland. And Rick and Dave were instrumental in having me represent Missouri. And we ran all through Europe, and then we spent 9 days running through Ireland, which culminated in the final leg into the stadium in Dublin for the World Summer Games. When we would do that run, we would stop in towns along the way, and each officer, there was teams of 10 officers and an athlete. And an officer and an athlete would give a speech. Would be a town square, and it was amazing because people would tell us when we were in Ireland, there was more people in the square than there were population in the town. It was amazing. So I gave my talk, the athlete gave a talk, and I came off of there, and this mom ran at me and grabbed me and started hugging me, and she was bawling. Her tears were just flowing, and I'm holding her, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she just couldn't get words out. And finally I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "You just told my whole town what I've been trying to tell them about my son for 4 years. You just shared it. The whole town just heard you tell what I've been trying to tell them. And I'm going to court tomorrow to get my son the rights that he has to be equal, and I'm taking your story with me." And I get chills thinking about that. There's a town of Gort in Ireland, and I'll never forget that moment. We make a difference.
Brock, now I want to get to you again. So you've gotten how many medals? 200?
I have 200 medals. I've done Special Olympics for 28 years.
Do you have a favorite medal?
My favorite was when I went to Greece. I got 2 bronze medals in 4th place. But the best thing was I was playing Italy. I was losing 7-0 singles. One of my line judges says, "Okay, sir, you're up." So what did I do? Line myself up, put it right where I wanted it. They said, "Italy's out of balls. Grab your last ball." Grab my last ball, shot in. I beat them. That's what I wanted to do.
So you've been how many countries have you been in? Have you traveled all over?
I have only been to Greece for Special Olympics. I go to Jefferson City. I've been to Cape Girardeau. I've been to Springfield. I've been to Kansas City. I've been to Kirksville. I've been to Columbia.
Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Redwood, Illinois.
Okay.
And then my mom and dad moved back over here because my dad didn't want to be a dairy farmer. He wasn't going to make enough money.
Okay.
So ever since I was little, he did construction. And he's done good.
Good.
I'm proud of my mom and dad, and I'm proud of where I am today.
And I bet you they're proud of you.
I wouldn't be doing my Special Olympics without the police officers. I enjoy it.
That's very, very touching.
Yeah.
And then another good thing is I'm in Special Olympics' Hall of Fame.
Are you? HOF?
Yes.
HOF, baby. Yes, absolutely. Come on now. That is awesome,
Yeah.
Brock. But Dave, I want to go back to you. You mentioned something earlier that you got a note that said, "Don't screw this up." What was the screw up? What were you not to do again? Can we tell that, or should
It was as simple as they didn't make the meeting they were supposed to go to. Captain John Serra from Hazelwood was the regional coordinator for the torch run event. And he hosted a meeting for kickoff, and they didn't go, and so
Oh, that's
simple
boring.
enough to do. And
I thought it was something good.
No,
I thought it was something good.
that's the official.
Yeah, you
That's
skipped
the
the meeting?
official version
Shit, I was
of the
good.
note.
I was good for that my whole career, skipping meetings. Now, does anybody want to say, because I this is neat. I mean, this is really neat. I mean, I was a policeman for 21 years. I've been around all you guys. And this is the first I've really known what you guys do and how deep this goes,
Right.
and what it does. And I'm as a podcast, we want to get involved. You know, maybe feature some of the athletes as you guys have different events
Yeah, that would be great.
and different things like that, and really help you guys out. And I think this is something that we want to get involved in too.
Well, I'd be happy to cover a few things since I currently serve as the director for the state for the law enforcement torch.
Co-director, I thought.
Well, it's co-director.
I didn't even try it. You notice
I know.
that?
Well, we're getting a succession plan. I'm sure retirement will happen for me sometime sooner rather than later. But anyway, just to put it into perspective, in the state of Missouri, there's over 21,000 athletes, from kids to adults. And Special Olympics, even though it kind of is wrapped around sports, it's not all sports. There's a lot that's involved in the money that we raise that goes directly to the athletes to let them do the sports for free. But it's also, they get health screenings, you know, they get hearing tests, vision tests, dental work. They teach them life skills. They also teach them leadership skills. So where they're able to come like Brock and actually speak about their experience and the whole Special Olympics movement and what it's all about. In 2025, last year, the state of Missouri raised over $1.5 million for Special Olympics Missouri. Like Rich alluded to earlier, it started in 1986 when it started. They raised about 15,000 up until where we're at today, where we usually make over $1 million, usually 1.5, and our goal is to try to get back to $2 million because did we ever hit 2, Jim?
Yeah, before COVID.
Yeah, before COVID, we hit 2 and then it fell back, but we're inching our way back up. And there's so many ways to get involved, and I'm glad you asked that. So I'm going to kind of go through
Absolutely.
go through a litany of things. We already talked about the polar plunge. So you basically get people to sign up to give you the money to jump into freezing cold water. Some people like it. Some people don't like it. They also have polar bear struts where, you know, you basically do a run or a walk to.
John Frank, you're going to be our guy, right?
Yeah.
The strut.
The strut and the polar plunge.
Yeah, so we do T-shirt sales, and we brought some T-shirts for you guys as well. So law enforcement agencies all across the state sell T-shirts. We design them each year, and we sell the T-shirts just to raise awareness and funds. We also do a drive-at-home raffle. This year, we're going to be giving away a full-size Ford F-150 pickup truck. And for the low price of $5, you can buy a chance to win a truck. So you can get those tickets online, or our agencies will be selling them, you know, individually. There's a Queen of Hearts raffle. Everyone's doing a Queen of Hearts raffle now. But there, if you go, like Jim said, somo.org, there's a link to the Queen of Hearts raffle right now. It's over $2,000 to the winner. We do a lot of tip-a-cop events to where we go to restaurants and police officers will actually serve, you know, clean the tables and serve the guests at the restaurant. And then the tips we get to keep, and usually the restaurant will kick in a percentage of their sales for the night. And speaking of that, there's actually a couple events that are coming up soon to where it'll benefit Special Olympics. On Tuesday, March 25th, Jersey Mike's all across the state, well, actually all across the country, but all across the state. If you go to Jersey Mike's on Thursday, March 25th, and you buy a sandwich, they are giving, I think, 100% of the proceeds to Special Olympics.
All right.
Is it Wednesday? All right, I
Wednesday,
apologize.
March 25th.
But it's March 25th.
Jersey Mike's. Get
And
the
then-
Jersey Mike's. Get a sandwich.
And then there's also an event we coordinate with Dunkin' Donuts, and it's called Top on a Rooftop. Cap on a Rooftop. That's kind of a tongue
Like Elf
twister.
on a Shelf.
Watch on that one.
Kind of like Elf on a Shelf. But basically, police officers will be there collecting money and that will be Friday, May 15th. So there's so many ways to get involved in the fundraising part of it, but where we really need help from a law enforcement perspective, and it's the the in-service guys and gals that are in law enforcement, we want them to get involved to actually come to some of the games, some of the regional games, or even go to the state games, to actually show up, to participate in the torch run, but also to hand out medals. Because again, it's the friendships you build, and it's invaluable. And it's an unbelievable community outreach function for law enforcement that, like Brock said, a lot of people look at police as the bad guys nowadays, unfortunately. But this is one of those times that instead of dealing someone on their worst day that we do when we're doing the job, we're dealing with some of the athletes on their best days. Right. When they're actually participating and winning medals and just having the opportunity to be included and belong.
Right.
So there's so many different ways to get involved in it, and we appreciate you all letting us come on to kind of
this
pitch
was great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rich.
I would say I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. John Michael Letts, who many of us know from the police department, he was considered like the godfather of fundraising because he kind of started for Special Olympics. Since then, John Michael Letts, everybody knows, got cancer and passed away. Prior to his passing away, though, Special Olympics and the Torch Run designated the John Michael Letts Award. The John Michael Letts Award is for that officer who participates in Special Olympics and the Torch Run, is involved in law enforcement, and is just a great community member. And I always remember the week he died, he got the letter. And Sheila told me, I've never seen Mike this alive in the last few months when he got that. And he said it meant so much to him that he took a copy with him when he got buried.
Wow.
And so every year, we give out the John Michael Letts Award, and it's considered the highest honor you can get in Special Olympics, Missouri, because of that.
That is cool.
Yeah.
You got us all worked. You got me. I got out teary. You guys got me. I mean, we're ready. We're ready to go to battle with it.
Yeah.
And actually, 3 of the 4 of us have been recipients of the John Michael Letts Award, and it's those 3 at the end. I'm the younger guy.
You're the younger guy?
I'm still working to get
You
there.
get that? You'll get it. You'll get it. But Dave, any closing remarks?
I'll just say, as much as Rich talked on our trips, he did have some really great ideas.
Hold on, cast that. I want that emboldened.
You want that clip?
Oh, absolutely. I want it sent to me.
We'll put it on the website. We'll put
Absolutely.
it on the Missouri Special Olympics website.
Everybody's going to be thinking
Can
I'm
you
holding
cut that
David
part?
at gunpoint.
Yeah. Please cut that part out. It'd be hard to live with.
Yeah, he sat on a billboard along 170 for a weekend one time in
remember
the
that.
rain. He sat on Busch Stadium to raise money. He never understood why we set the goal so high to where he couldn't come down until it was made. But his wife
was
really enjoyed the
Jackass
fact
before
that he was
Jackass.
on top of those things for the weekend.
I came down. I talked to, one time Jack Buck interviewed me, and my cousin was coming in from Memphis, and he says, "Man, you really sound good with Jack Buck." And I said, "Well, of course I did. He's good. He made me sound good." But I mean,
Any closing remarks, Bugs?
I'd like to say that I want to tout Special Olympics, what they do for these athletes. The stories are unbelievable, and what these athletes become as a part of this organization is amazing to watch. That's been the biggest gift. I've been with Brock for 25 years. I've watched him grow, and I've watched this young man become a brave young man. In fact, you got a minute for him to tell you?
Absolutely.
Tell him what you did going over the building.
If nobody has ever heard of it, Jim and I did a thing for Special Olympics called Over the Edge. So I was supposed to do it in October of many years ago, and I couldn't do it. So I asked my mom and dad, I said, "Mom and Dad, can we go to Jeff City?" I said, "I want to do 13 stories." So I got done with the 13 stories, and Jim was with me, and I said, "Come on, dude, we're doing all 19. And I said, "We're not giving up." So both times I had to raise $1,000 for Special Olympics. The first time I got a vest And then the second time I got a jacket, and that was for Special Olympics. And I enjoy doing it. It's fun.
Courage, yeah, lots of courage.
That's awesome, bro.
You also went off the roof of the Four Seasons Hotel down at Lumiere Casino.
This is repelling, right?
Repelling,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Repelling.
Yep.
Probably should
Yeah, I
clarify.
didn't do
that.
it.
No, we're just jumping.
No.
They weren't freebasing, they were repelling.
Tommy.
You want some good fundraising? We're freebasing off the arch. But Jeff, any closing remarks?
No, again, we just really encourage everyone to get involved and get involved in the fundraising. It could be as simple as the fundraising efforts, or it could be even more to where you come volunteer at one of the events. Again, it's just a movement to let our athletes feel included in everyday life. That's the main priority of Special Olympics, and the more people, more hands make lighter work. So the more we can get that are involved in the fundraising efforts or participating at the games or volunteering at the games, the better off we'll all be. And then more athletes like Brock that we can support and let them thrive.
Absolutely.
Anybody in the
got
city police that is listening, Jeff and I are meeting with in the chief's office on Tuesday,
Right.
and so they can anticipate some information coming out from Major Marisi on moving forward with efforts in the city police department to get more involved.
All right, and we look forward to. I really want. We'll talk off.
Where's JJ?
We're going to try to do. What we
Hope
can
he heard
do.
that, JJ.
JJ's not. Yeah.
Of course.
But we.
Yeah, thank you for allowing us
Yeah.
to come in.
Oh,
and
it
share our
was our
stories.
honor. It was our
Absolutely.
honor, and we're we'll be out on Monday, and
Okay.
we hope to that this just causes more awareness, and really helps with volunteers. I think that's the more people that get involved, the more money that comes in my opinion, because they become you guys.
Right.
Once you get involved, you get it starts touching your heart. Just you four alone, how much? I mean, I can only imagine how much money you guys are responsible of that. How much money have we raised?
43 million.
43 million over since 1986.
But you four, just alone, just with your 150 years into this thing,
Right.
and I want to thank you. And Brock, would you like to end the show with a statement?
If anybody would want, this weekend we're out at Jefferson City Saturday for a basketball tournament. If anybody wants to come and watch 3-on-3 full court, come and enjoy it. And
What's your best shot? Does it fade away? You got a fade away?
I don't have a fadeaway.
What do? You just drive to the bucket?
I usually drive to the bucket.
How about rebounds? Are you a good rebounder?
I'm good at rebound.
So you don't know me pushing you around. You get that good base going.
It
underneath the
doesn't
net?
matter. I work with what I have to do.
All right. Now we also have to have you. We have our friend Botini. He's a major bocce player, and we have Danny Howard. We need you to compete against these two.
All
and
right.
Show them what it's about.
Yeah. Kick
All right.
butt.
All right.
Take names.
We appreciate you guys. We appreciate everything you guys do. It was really neat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.